Hello friends, Mandar here. I'm back with another video. Today we'll talk about the guidance that USCIS has put out for the compelling circumstances EAD. We'll also talk about the reintroduction of Dream and Promise Act, again something for DACA recipients, and some other important questions that you don't want to miss. So watch this video until the end and let's get started. If you are here for the first time, welcome. My name is Mandar and I make immigration and lifestyle related videos for US and Canada. I'm not an immigration lawyer, so anything that I say on this video or on my channel is for information purpose only. And for your specific immigration needs, before you take any action, you should hire a competent immigration lawyer. Now before we move on to our major topics, I want to cover one common question regarding your driver's license. Now people who are on visa, you all know that when you apply for a driver's license in any state, they usually ask you for your immigration status. Now if you are able to produce your visa with a validity or valid date, then that is very easy. But if not, they have to make a query or inquiry to USCIS to get that status directly from them. Now it is a simple thing if you are on the H1 or L1 because you have a visa stamp and you can clearly show the approval notice or the stamp with the end date of your visa. But that may not be always true, because sometimes if you are on a green card process and if you have let go of your H1 or L visa and you don't have that visa to show, all you have is your 485 status, right? And then your EAD. And what if your EAD is just valid for next 2 or 3 months and you haven't got an extended validity EAD? What happens then? Then you are in trouble because the DMV will most likely not give you the driver's license based on such a short validity of just your EAD card, not having your visa to back up with it. So in that case, they will have to make an inquiry to USCIS to get your status in that scenario. So what do? There are a couple of ways you can request. You can show them your pending adjustment of status or pending I-485 status and tell them that it's a valid status that you are in and you should be able to get the maximum validity for your driver's license. But if that's not possible, it is usually at the discretion at the DMV officer that they can make a discretion in giving you a shorter term driver's license, say for 3 months or 6 months. So that is something that you can try for. Once you get that 3 to 6 months validity, you have enough time to let them make an inquiry to USCIS and get a longer validity driver's license. So that was an important point that I wanted to cover, because now with the dates retrogress, especially in EB2 and EB3, some people have let go of your H1B and they are just using their EAD card, and now for the renewal of their driver's license they have to show some proof, and they have this issue. So I just thought I would cover this topic. If you have any specific questions regarding how to get around this driver's license extension situation, do call me or contact and I'll let you know my thoughts. Before we move forward, check out the links in the description because those are affiliate links. If you use those, you'll get a little bit of discount and that will also help support the channel. And while you are down there, do hit the like button. Now let's talk about the compelling circumstance EAD. Now USCIS put out these guidelines on June 14th, saying that USCIS provides guidance on employment authorization documents based on compelling circumstances. Now this is not new. I just wanted to emphasize because there has been a lot of chatter on the Twitter and on the YouTube channels that this is something new that has come up. This has always been the case. If you go back onto my channel, I have made several videos on compelling circumstance EAD. This option has always been there. Now what is new is they are coming out and giving out the guidelines specifically for individuals who are impacted in certain categories. So they are advising people, if you are in certain compelling circumstances, you can apply for this EAD and continue with your job. I'll come to some nuances and some things that you might want to be careful about while applying for this compelling circumstances EAD that nobody will tell you about. So now let's first go through what are the situations that USCIS says that will make you eligible for this compelling circumstances EAD. So USCIS today released policy guidelines on the eligibility criteria for initial and renewal applications for EAD in compelling circumstances based on the existing regulatory requirements. For an applicant to be eligible for initial EAD based on compelling circumstances, they must meet following eligibility requirement. The principal applicant is the principal beneficiary of an approved I-140 immigrant petition in either EB1, EB2 or EB3 preference category. So this has to be the basic. You need to have an approved I-140 petition, which is immigrant petition. The second condition is the principal applicant is in a valid E3, H1B, H1B1, O1 or L1 non-immigrant status or authorized grace period when they file the form I-765. The third condition is the principal applicant has not filed for an adjustment of status. This is important. You should not have filed adjustment of status, because if you did file for adjustment of status, you are eligible for the green card EAD. Then you don't need this compelling circumstance EAD. The next condition is the immigrant visa is not available to the principal applicant based on the applicant's priority date according to the relevant final action date in the US Department of State's visa bulletin. So that is obviously if your date has to be not current for you to be eligible for this compelling circumstances, because if your date was eligible or if your date was current, then you should be able to apply for 485 and that will give you an EAD that way. So that is another condition. The applicant and their dependents provide biometrics as required. The applicants and their dependents have not been convicted of any felony or misdemeanors, and USCIS determines as a matter of discretion that the principal applicant demonstrates compelling circumstances that justify issuance of employment authorization. So that is the policy alert that USCIS came up with. Now this really is nothing new about it. It was always in the policy. They have just come out and given out these guidelines to kind of emphasize what are the conditions that will make you eligible for getting this compelling circumstances EAD. So now let's look at the actual policy alert and see what they say. In this actual policy alert, which was dated June 14th, it says clearly that this is USCIS is issuing policy guidance to address the eligibility criteria and standards for application of employment authorization in compelling circumstances. So the point of this guidance is to make the eligibility criteria more clear to individuals so that there is no ambiguity and people who are really in need of this compelling circumstance EAD can apply for it. Now let's look at this policy highlights. It explains the eligibility criteria for initial and renewal petitions for EAD, non-exhaustive list of situations that could lead to finding a compelling circumstance, where the applicant is facing certain situations including serious illness, disability, employer dispute or retaliation, or other substantial harm to the applicant or significant disruption to the employer. So basically they are saying if you get laid off, if you have a fight with your employer, if there are any situations with your employer that puts you in this perilous situation, that will qualify you for this compelling circumstances EAD. It will also be eligible in case where the primary applicant with an approved immigrant visa petition is an oversubscribed visa category or chargeability area. So obviously if you are from India or China, you will qualify for this. Who has lived in the United States for a considerable period of time. Now they haven't specified what this considerable period of time means. How much is it? Is it for 2 years, 5 years, 10 years, 15 years? They haven't specified any of that. Could submit such as evidence such as school certificate, high school enrollment record, mortgage record, long-term lease record to support potential finding of compelling circumstance. Including a job loss, family may otherwise be forced to sell their home for a loss, put their children out of school and relocate out of their home. So these are really compelling circumstances. It also provides guidance on what adjudication of compelling circumstance based EADs entail, including the maximum validity period USCIS may authorize. It also explains that an individual with a valid compelling circumstances is considered to be in the period of authorized stay and therefore will not accrue unlawful presence. So this is important. I was going to caution you about this particular sentence. EAD in itself is just an employment authorization. So when you receive an EAD in different situations, say for instance it is H4 EAD, it is based on your underlying H4 visa. So the H4 visa gives you the status in the United States and EAD provides you the work authorization. Similarly, in the green card EAD situation, the pending adjustment of status, the pending I-485 gives you the status to remain in the US, and the EAD provides you the authorization for working. But with this compelling circumstance EAD, they have made a special provision to let you remain in the period of authorized stay for the validity of EAD. So say for instance you are on H1B, you have a approved I-140 petition and you suddenly lose your job. Now traditionally or typically you will only have 60 days to leave the country unless you can find a job within the 60 days or unless you can apply for your H1B transfer within the 60 days. Unless you are able to do that, you will need to leave the country after 60 days. But in this particular case, you can apply for an compelling circumstance EAD, and if they issue you an EAD for a year, they will also issue you a period of authorized stay for the duration of that EAD. You will be lawfully present in the United States for the duration of that EAD. This is not always true, but this is true in this particular situation in compelling circumstances only. So when you get an EAD, make sure that you have somewhere written either on the approval notice or on the EAD card that you will also have the period of authorized stay, because that is very important. The last thing you want to know is have an EAD, assume that you are in the authorized stay, only to realize in the future that you were not lawfully present. And if you are unlawfully present for more than a year, that will cause you a lot of trouble in getting a visa in the future. So that is the part I wanted to clarify, that in this particular case, when you get the compelling circumstance EAD, it will also provide you a period of authorized stay until the validity of that EAD. If you have any questions about compelling circumstances EAD or your particular situation, whether or not you may qualify for a compelling circumstance EAD, do reach out to me on my Patreon or through Calendly. You can book some time with me on Calendly. Lastly, I also wanted to let you know that a group of lawmakers led by Democrats, Sylvia Garcia, and also GOP Representative Duarte, announced a reintroduction of Dream and Promise Act on the 11th anniversary of the creation of DACA program. Now, if you remember, back in 2012, President Obama had created this DACA program, and to this date, it is still in action. But those people are still in the limbo because they don't have a pathway to permanent residency or citizenship. They are only in the period of authorized stay, like I was saying before. So now these lawmakers are trying to come back and saying, can we provide them a pathway to citizenship for all these millions of DACA recipients? So that is what all it is about. It's always that time of the year when we have these kind of milestones in the year, people in the Congress come up with these new bills and try to get some headlines. There is nothing in there for the employment based category, so don't get too excited about this particular bill. I wanted to cover it because few people asked me that question. And the last thing I wanted to tell you is remind you about the H1B situation. In this year's lottery, there were a lot of fraudulent applicants, there were a lot of multiple filings, and USCIS has made it clear that if you have filed multiple petitions for your H1B and if one of them has got approved, you will be scrutinized and you will be investigated. If the fault was from the employer side, your application will be denied, and if the applicant was at fault, then they will be charged. Actually, they will face some legal consequences. So that is really bad. So if you have multiple petitions filed and if one of them was approved, do watch my previous video what to do in that situation. Reach out to me if you have questions. So I know for sure that some of you are interested in stock trading, day trading, buying cryptocurrencies. I want to present you Webull. Webull is a trading platform. It allows you to buy stock, it allows you to buy options, do options trading, and also it allows you to buy cryptocurrency. Webull 9 was released with a brand new home and market page, asset page, and economic calendar. Also, Webull Cash Management was launched with 5.8% API with no fees attached and no minimum balance and unlimited withdrawals. This is amazing. This coming May, new Webull USA users can still enjoy 5.8% APY and gift up to 12 free stocks when making an initial deposit of any amount. Each is valued between $3 and $3,000. Feel free to take advantage of this. Join through my link and you will get those free stocks. So that's really all I wanted to say in this video. If you like the content of this video, do hit the like button and consider subscribing to my channel, and I'll see you in the next one.